Hi everyone, welcome to Byte and Beyond with Uday. We are going to start a new series. The, the series name is Spring Boot REST API with MySQL Database and Spring Data JPA. So this is a tutorial where we are going to introduce MySQL Database and we are going to store our data in this database using Spring Data JPA. So our focus will be how to use Spring Data JPA to store the entities or an object into the database. So that we will cover. We will start with pretty basic example. So you get the fundamentals clear, you know the basics. So if you know the basics, then you will be able to easily understand the advanced topics. So we will cover the basic uh, topic first, so you will get the better idea. So let's move ahead. Um, to get started, you must have MySQL database installed in your laptop or in your system. Um, if you do not have MySQL database, then I would recommend that you first install the MySQL database. There are, tons of videos available on the YouTube how to install MySQL database in your system. So I would suggest please refer those videos and get install the MySQL database in your system, and then you are good to go. So in this series, I am going to refer our previous project that we have developed in our last series, which was Spring Boot REST API. Our last series was Spring Boot REST API. So I am going to use same project in this series as well. So you guys can, connect the dots, and if you are following me since the beginning, so you get the or you understand all the concepts very well. So that is why I will recommend to start with my previous project, uh, which we have developed in our last series. So for that, if you do not have that project installed in your system, or that project is not available in your machine, so I would recommend to go to the GitHub. Okay, for example, let me go to the GitHub. Or just type Patel Uday 07. That should be the, I believe this should be the sufficient. We have a typo over here, Patel Uday 07. Okay, if you type this Patel Uday 07, you should get GitHub page. Or if you are unable to find my name, or if you are unable to find a link with my name, so first, just go to the GitHub. Let's start with the basic. Let's go to the GitHub, and then click on this link. And from here, what you can do is you can type Patel Uday 07. This is one. Patel Uday 07. If you type, you will land on my page, and then go to the repositories, and then just scroll down, and you should see the repository with the name Spring Boot REST API Development Made Simple. So basically, I'm going to refer this project which we have developed, or which we were using in our last series, where we have introduced or exposed REST APIs. So I'm going to refer this project. I will also recommend you to refer the same project so you guys can relate and you can follow along with me. So just click on this code icon. Uh, if, if the Git is already installed in your machine, then you can simply copy this URL and clone this repo. Otherwise, if you are not familiar with the Git, then no worries. You can simply download this zip. So I will just click on this icon, download zip, and it will download the zip file for me. So if I go to my download section, you can see the zip file is downloaded. I am, I just have to simply unzip it and basically open this project in your IDE. I already taught you how to, open this Spring Boot projects or the Maven projects in your IDE, so you can, watch my videos for that. If you don't know how to open Maven or Spring Boot project, so please refer my videos. So yeah, once you have this project set up and open in your IDE, you are good to go. So you can see in my case, I already have downloaded that project and open in my IDE. So I think I'm good to start. Okay. So yeah, so let's begin. We are good to start. And yeah, in case, just in case, before we move ahead, okay, before we move ahead, if you want to prefer or watch my last series, then you should see I button somewhere on the screen. So if you click on it, you will get the part three of the last series, Spring Boot REST API made simple. Okay, so you can refer that series if you don't know how to expose the REST APIs, and then you can come back to this section or this series, Spring Data JPA series, and you can start from here once you are done with the REST APIs tutorial videos. So you should see the I button somewhere on the screen. Please click on it. You will navigate to that video, and once that is done, you can come over here. Okay, so I think we are good to start. So let's begin. So what exactly we are going to do or what we are going to build in this video. So in this video, we already have a Spring Boot application, okay, which we have developed in our last series, and in that series we have developed or we have created two layers, controller layer and the service layer, and over there we were using the dummy database. Okay, just for the simplicity. So these two layer you already familiar, you are already familiar, and in this series, basically we will introduce new layer, repository layer, that basically talks with MySQL database or any database, Oracle, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, any kind of database, whether it is SQL or no SQL. Okay, so this is repository layer. Okay, so the repository layer basically talks with the database and how the repository layer talks with the database. So Spring Data JPA helps us or this repository layer to talk with the database. Spring Data JPA do the lot of work behind the scene to save the data in the MySQL database. So in any web application, you pick any web application, over there we have three layers. I mean, this is the industry standard that any web application should have three layers, at least bare minimum should have three layers. The first one is the controller layer where we expose our REST APIs, and then comes service layer where we write our business logic, and then comes repository layer that basically talks with the database and it basically manages data available in our database. And how repository layer does it? So the Spring Data JPA provide enough support or enough functionality to talk with the database. You will find it so simple how to use Spring Data JPA in order to store your data in the MySQL database or any kind of database. So this is the high level diagram which I think explain uh, pretty much how the Spring Boot web application looks and what are the layers and components are available inside the web application. So yeah, I think now we are good to start. Uh, let's let's move ahead then. So let's go to the IDE where we have opened or set up our Spring Boot web application project. And first of all, before we start to develop this uh, web application, which basically stores data in the database, first of all, we need Spring Data JPA. Okay, because Spring Data JPA is a dependency. If you add that dependency, it gives you that. So let me go to my application. So if I open the pom.xml, now I can see only two dependency over here. One is the Spring Boot Starter Web. Okay, you can see the artifact ID is Spring Boot Starter Web. So this dependency needed to expose the REST API, and this another one is for the unit testing and the integration testing. Uh, then we have a Spring Data JPA. Now we want to talk with the database. So for that we need Spring Data JPA. So we need to add Spring Data JPA dependency over here. So first of all, what will I do? I will go I will go to the web browser, and then what I will do, I will basically type Spring Initializer because we need Spring Data JPA dependency. So I'm going to download that dependency from Spring Initializer. From the add dependency, I will type data JPA. If I just type data JPA, I will get the Spring Data JPA. You can see persist data in SQL Store with Java Persistence API. JPA stands for Java Persistence API using Spring Data and Hibernate. So JPA is a specification and Hibernate is the actual implementation that stores or that help us to store our data in the database. So Hibernate is the actual implementation, and JPA is the specification. You can think of like interface layer and the actual class who basically implement those interface and do all the jobs, relevant jobs, which require for our application. So that's what you think. So Hibernate is a framework that help us to store our data or specifically our entity. It basically provide object relational mapping, so we can think in terms of object rather than the table. So Hibernate provide that kind of feature. Similarly, we have iBetis that is similar to Hibernate, which also provides similar functionality. But Hibernate is quite popular in the industry, so most of the web application uses the Hibernate itself. So let's select this dependency and go to the Explore. We just want to copy Spring Data JPA dependency. That's it, because we already have our project set up. We don't need everything. We just need this dependency. Okay. So let me copy this dependency over here. Okay. And let me paste this. I think my GitHub Copilot is uh, on. Let me disable the completion. Okay, so now the data JPA is added. I can see the Maven refresh button or the sync button over here. Let me sync. So this dependency get added in my project. Okay, so yeah, the loading is ended over here. So yeah, this is added. Now let me go to the SRC and then resources. Okay, so as we our web application wants to talk with the database. So how our application talk with any database? So basically, our web application needs some information in order to talk with the database. So those information we will add in this application.properties. Let me first of all, convert this application.properties file to YAML file. So we don't need to type much. YAML file basically maintains the hierarchy. So, the YAML file is looks pretty neat and clean. So we will use this YAML file over here. Okay. So let me type the application name. Let me first give the application name. Okay. Application and then name. Okay. What is our application name? Is our application name is Spring. Okay. Put REST API with MySQL database. Okay. And there is Spring Data JPA tutorial. Okay. Spring Data JPA. Okay. I think this is sufficient. Spring Boot REST API with MySQL database. Spring Data JPA tutorial. Let me type the tutorial as well. So, tutorial, one second, tutorial, okay, tutorial, okay, now, okay. So basically, this is the name of our application. Similar, you guys have name. So web application also have their names. So, for example, my name is Uday. So this application name is Spring Boot REST API with MySQL Database Spring Data JPA tutorial. Pretty long name though, but that's fine. Some people have long names. Anyway, so yeah, our application wants to talk with the database. So basically, we need an address, in order to talk with the databases or any particular database. So for that, what we can do is we need the database address or we need the database information. For example, let's say if I give you a simple example, if you want to talk with your friend, then you need your friend phone number. That yes, my friend's phone number is A B C D or 1 2 3 4 5 6 anything. Okay, and you dial that phone number in your phone, and then you talk with your friend. Then you can talk with your friend. So similarly, we need some kind of information here to talk with the database. So that's what we are going to give to this application. Okay, so this is the section, data source section, where we basically give the information of our MySQL database. Okay, yeah. So yeah, before we move ahead, we need yeah. Along with the data JPA, we also need one more dependency, which is MySQL driver. So we are using MySQL database. So we need something that help us to communicate with the MySQL database. Spring Data JPA basically handles our objects. MySQL database basically establish connection between our web application and our MySQL database. So that's why we need the MySQL driver. Okay. So that is needed. So let me quickly close this and add dependency. Just let me type MySQL. You can see MySQL JDBC driver. We need this driver to communicate with the database. Exploring, looks like we have a connectivity issue. Hey, yeah, I think it looks like connectivity is restored. So yeah, let me click on the explore this time. Yeah, now we are able to go this page. So yes, we have added MySQL driver as a dependency. So let us copy this driver and go to the form.xml and just add this dependency right after the Spring Data JPA. So yeah, we have added two dependency, Spring Data JPA, which basically manages our entities. I will explain you what exactly entity is, and this is the MySQL connector or JDBC driver, MySQL JDBC driver that basically help our web application to connect with the database. So yeah, as I mentioned, in order to talk with MySQL database, we need MySQL database address. So for address, here is the MySQL database address. Okay, JDBC colon MySQL, then again colon forward slash two times local host. The MySQL server is running in my laptop, so that is why we can use local host. If your MySQL server is running on different machine or on a server, then you can give your server IP over here. Then this is the port. Okay, this is the port of your MySQL database. By default, it is 3306. Then your database name. I mean, over here we have a employee entity. So I'm giving this database name as employee demo, and then after question mark, I want to make sure that when when I start my web application, then if the database is not exist in MySQL, okay, let me go to the MySQL workbench. So you can see over here few databases: Person, Spring Boot Demo, Sys, Test. Okay, these are the databases. So similarly, I want to make sure that when I run my if the employee demo database is not available in my MySQL database, then I'm giving instruction that you should create this database uh, inside the DB. So create database if not exist. Okay, is equal to true, meaning if the database is not exist in MySQL, then our web application will create it. Our web application will create employee demo. I will show you when we ready to start our web application basically. So I will show you. Yeah, don't forget to sync your Maven project. It is syncing. You can see over here. That's great. Okay. So this address is ready. Create database if not exist. I am checking if there are no spelling mistakes, and I don't think so. There is any. Now we need to give our MySQL database username and password, because when you were setting up your MySQL database, you must have given your MySQL database a name and a password. So in my case, it is root, root in both of the cases. The, you know, I think there is some typo. Okay, password. Okay, looks okay to me though. Yeah, this is good. Password and root. This is the mistake. Okay. So yeah, guys, please make sure whenever you are using YAML file, don't uh, assign value like this. After colon, you must give a space and then type your value. Otherwise, you are giving invalid your YAML file will be invalid. Okay, there will be an error. So yeah, this is the username and password of my MySQL database, and then I'm going to define some JPA related configuration. Okay, I will explain you what exactly it is. DDL auto update. So yeah, DDL auto update. It basically, if I make any changes in my entity, in our case it is employee, those will reflect in in our database, MySQL database, when we start our project. This field is quite useful when we are developing the project in production. We should not use this field update. Okay, there are other fields which we talk about in advanced topics. For now, this update field is sufficient. We'll talk about there are create, drop, update, validate. So in production, we basically I think use validate. So uh, those are the advanced topic. I think we can cover that in a separate video. So for now, let's focus on this update. So whatever we make changes in our entity, those will be reflect in our database or in our table when we start our web application. Okay. So yeah, this is sufficient. I will also give you example once our project is ready to start. Okay. I will show you by giving the example. So don't worry. So SQL, okay, true meaning, yeah. Let me define the source SQL at the JPA layer as well. Just a second. Okay. So this source SQL meaning whatever operation is being performed by our web application to the database. For example, if we are saving our object or entity to the database, we can see the SQL query for the same. If we are deleting our entity from the database, we can see SQL query in our console. So that is why we are saying source is equal to true. And that's it. Uh, this is the only information our web application needs to talk with the database. I think this is more than enough. Okay, so I think this is done. We are done with our application.yaml file. Now I think we should start building our entity. So let me go to the Java, and this is our entity. Okay, which we have created in our previous series. So yeah, first of all, I need to tell. So basically, I want to store employee object or employee data in our database. So I need to over here we are using Spring Data JPA. So basically, I need to tell Spring Data JPA that hey, this is the entity, and you need to store this entity into the database. So for that, we need to say entity. So I'm saying that, hey, this is the entity. You need to persist or store, or we can, in simple language, save this object in the database. Okay. So this is the indication for the Spring Data JPA. Otherwise, how the Spring Data JPA know that what object I need to store? So this is the indication for Spring Data JPA. Okay. Now, then you must know in each and every table, I mean, in most of the table, we have primary key. So this is the indication that, hey, this ID, this ID is a primary key. Okay. This ID is a primary key. And then how do I want to generate my primary key? So for that, we have an annotation. Okay, so Spring Data JPA basically provides, tons of annotation to, to simulate database in our object. So the whatever fields you can see over here, those are the columns. So ID will be become one column, and then first name will become another column, last name will be some other column, salary will be column. So these properties will be the column, employee will be the table name. So that's how the mapping happens uh, with the database. We will see once we are ready to start our project. So yeah, so this is the ID, okay, and um, this is the ID. ID meaning primary key. By giving this annotation, we are saying that this will be the primary key of our employee table. Okay. And how do I want to generate the primary key? So for that, we have multiple strategies. So strategy is equal to generated type auto. So I would suggest use auto. Why? Because as per your database, the data JPA picks the appropriate primary key generation type. So you don't need to change it when you change your database. Let's say for now I am using MySQL. Let's say after 2 or 3 years, my company decides that hey, now we want to move to PostgreSQL. So in that case, we don't need to worry what kind of primary key generation we are using. If we are using auto, Spring Data JPA will automatically figure it out that which type of generation is which type of strategy is best for the PostgreSQL or Oracle or MySQL. So I don't need to worry about it. So that's why I would recommend please use auto. Okay, until and unless you have some other agendas. Okay, otherwise auto is pretty sufficient. Then we have others: identity, sequence, uid, table. We will we can discuss about all this type in our separate session. I will create a dedicated session for for this type of topics. Otherwise it will be overwhelming for you guys, because let's focus on basics. Let's make it run basic things, then you will get the confidence. Okay, then you will get the energy to deep dive into advanced topics. So let's first focus on the topic, and trust me, we will definitely cover all these advanced topics in our upcoming videos. So let's for now keep this as auto. And I think this ID doesn't look, good to me. This ID name doesn't look good to me. So I will change it to employee ID. I think employee ID sounds much better than ID. So employee ID. Okay, I'm going to change the method name and the parameter name as well. Okay, good. I think we don't need this constructor as well for now. So let's remove this. Then okay. Then we have a first name. Of course, employee have first names. So let's add the annotation at the red column. Okay, and I want to make sure, as I just mentioned earlier, that this property name are the column names and the class name is the table name. So that's how the mapping done when we use. Spring Data JPA. Okay, so I want to make sure that this column cannot be null. So for that, nullable false. I have the nullable false. I want to also control the length. So the first name must be only 30 character, sorry, 100 character long. In my case, the first name should be only should be less than equal to 100 characters. It should not be greater than 100 characters. Okay. Then we have a last name. Okay. So last name, I would say let's say it can be null. I mean, if you are not passing your last name, that is fine. In this case, let's say, and the length is similar 100. Okay, then let me introduce one more field. I mean, nowadays everybody has their own email address. So for that, let me uh, introduce a new field, which is email. Okay, and let me use the same annotation. And as you know, we cannot have duplicate email address. For example, let's say I have two employees, Uday and John. So these two employees cannot have a same email address because this is not right. How can two employees have the same email address? It doesn't make sense, isn't it? So that is why we have a field unique true. So in our database or in our table, this column will be unique. And I want to specify a length for my database that my email should be only 50 character long, less than equal to 50. Okay, and as we have declared email, let's declare our getter setter. It is after last name. So let me introduce the getter setter for this entity, because behind the scenes Spring Data JPA uses our getter setter method to set data to these properties or get data from these properties. Okay, it basically uses this getter setter. So that is why it is very important to use getter setter. And if we are using custom or custom constructors, then you must make sure that you also create the default constructor as well. Okay, so those things you need to take care of. But in our case, we are not going to do any those kind of things. We are going to start with basics, so we will focus on that. Then comes salary. So double is good for decimal numbers, but when you are building industry level application, industry which follows the industry standards, in that case we should not use the double type. Okay, instead we have a big decimal. So I would suggest let's use the big decimal over here and accordingly update our getter and setter. Okay, let me remove this and I'm updating my getter and setter. Okay, good. And for this, we also have the at the column annotation. So column annotation is not mandatory. Okay, if you want to change the default properties, then you can add the column annotation. So I'm going to define precision. Precision meaning how uh, I mean the maximum digit should be available for the salary. So in my case 10. So employee can have 10 digit salary. I mean in employee salary that could be 10 digit. And then we have a scale meaning after decimal, after point. For example, let's say my salary is 15,000.75 paisa. So I want to make sure that after point there should be only two digits. So for that I am giving scale 2, and total digit should be 10, including the after decimal numbers. For example, 15,000.75. So total should not be greater than 10. It should be less than or equal to 10. Okay. So that's what this property or field means. Okay. And yeah, I think our entity is ready. Then what we need to do, we need to, make some small changes in our service layer because, earlier we were using the dummy database. Okay. Hey, I think we won't be able to cover everything in a single video. So it's a good idea to divide this video in two parts. This is part one, and rest of the things we will cover in part two. So far, if you have liked my part one, then please share, subscribe, like, comment. So see you in the next part. Bye.